Welcome to the Park and Play podcast, where we pull up, we park, and we talk about life's journeys. I'm Paul, and today we have Rob Kane. Today we're here to chat about life's journeys. We're going to talk about the highs and the lows, where it started from and where we're going to, and everything in between. So first of all, Rob, thank you for coming. Thank you for taking part in the podcast. Really appreciate you giving up your time to do this. How you doing in general?
Good, mate. Cheers for asking me to come on board. It's always good to kind of come on these wee things and kind of shoot the shit and all that, as I say. So I'm all good, mate. All good. Excited. Lots and lots of stuff happening. Lots of things in the pipeline. So looking forward to seeing what the future holds.
Excellent. So for people that are listening or people that are watching, if we're on YouTube, can you just tell us a wee bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Hi, Rob Kane, my name is. I've been doing comedy now for, I think it's nearly 2006. Wow, that's like 19 years, almost to the date. It was the end of October, my first gig, so nearly 19 years I've been doing comedy. I've kind of been doing it full time professionally for like the past 7 years. So I do gigs all over the country, comedy clubs, hotels, bars, bowling clubs, Masonic halls, Knights of Columbia halls, anywhere that will have snooker halls, anywhere that will have me, somebody's house, weddings, a 50th, 60th birthday party, anywhere that will have me, mate, I will go and do a gig.
Excellent, good to hear. So I suppose this podcast is all about journeys, and it's all about I find people's journeys really interesting. Not just really successful people, but just people that have kind of had that journey, because for me it's about successful is about where you started and where you got there and the kind of journey in between. So I suppose the first question for me is, how did you get started in comedy?
So I've always been funny, Paul. You know that. I've always been a funny guy. So I was actually wanting to kind of do acting originally. I wanted to be an actor originally, and I went to drama college. And all that. I did acting and performance at Motherwell College, and I was always getting cast in all the kind of big roles. You know what I mean, all my tutor says I always had good stage presence and all that, and good timing and everything else. So I did that. I got cast in a Taggart when I was very young. I was like 16, 17. I got cast in a Taggart.
Wow.
A couple of plays and stuff that I did. But my friend, I was working when I was 20. I got a job with a touring theatre company called Theatre Works, and I became really good pals with a lady called Viv G, who does comedy as well. And so Viv had been doing comedy for about 10, 15 years before it. And when we were doing these plays together, she'd always be killing herself at me and saying, "You're so funny, you've got good timing, you'd be so good at doing stand-up comedy." So I went with her to go and see a couple of shows and all that. And right away, I was kind of sitting there thinking, this is for me, this is what I want to do. So Viv actually runs like a 10-week, she actually runs like a wee kind of 10-week comedy course. It was part of Strathclyde University at the time. So I went and did her 10-week course that teaches you things, how it's like source material, mic technique, how to deal with hecklers, that kind of thing. And then at the end of it, you do a wee 5-minute kind of showcase gig. You work on 5 minutes of material for the 10 weeks. At the end of it, you do a wee showcase gig, and family and friends, but all these kind of bookers and stuff came.
Okay.
So a guy came to watch who was a big booker at the time, and he gave me 5 minutes on the back of that show, on the back of the showcase gig. And then for then, I've just kind of been doing comedy ever since.
Wow.
So actually, when I went on stage the first time, it was all his kit. And the mic stand, I couldn't get the mic out of the stand in my very first gig. I was feeling nervous, shaking. So I just went like through the mic stand in the ground. And then afterwards, he came up to me and pointed in my face. He went, "How you? Don't throw my mic stand in the ground again." He went, "You're not a fucking who." So I was like, "Sorry, mate." I was like, "Mike, he's a gig." So he did. And I've done lots of gigs. He doesn't promote gigs anymore. But I did lots of gigs for him, actually. And then, obviously, your name gets out there, and then you just get bookings based on reputation.
Excellent. Aye, definitely. I suppose you touched a wee bit on that was the moment. So that was probably my kind of next follow-up question. Was there a moment where you kind of went, "Do you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to do this full time. I don't want to do normal jobs anymore. This is what I want to commit to."
I think that happened quite early for me, to be honest with you. I had a few other things in the pipeline when I started, obviously. I actually ran my own theatre company for 15 years as well.
Wow.
A TIE, Theatre and Education Company, where I would go around schools and do plays and workshops about things like drugs, alcohol, bullying, knife crime, like teach your kids how to do it properly, you know what I mean? And so I would get approached by like organisations would come to me, police, fire, NHS, antisocial behaviour teams would come to me and say, we've got this issue in this place. Could you do a workshop and a play about it?
Right, okay.
They'd give us money. I'd write a play, employ a couple of actors, and actually get Viv involved, who I mentioned there, because Viv, as well as being a brilliant comic, she's also a brilliant writer and all that. So we'd kind of write plays together. We'd devise it. You know what I mean? So we'd give the actors scenarios, and then I'd be part of that team. We'd act it out. Viv would watch it and then say, that's good, and then kind of put together a script.
Right, okay.
So the way we did it as well was we would do a script about 15, 20 minutes long, usually in front of the whole year group. So like 200 kids, S1, S2, all the way up to S6. So we do like a play, and then throughout the play, the protagonist, the main character, would make lots of bad choices through this play. So say, for example, it was about drinking, anti-drinking, right? So it would be where the first time he takes a drink and then he gets involved with violence, and then he maybe gets to jail or he cheats with his girlfriend. So whenever, throughout this play, whenever the main character made bad choices, we would run the play again a second time. And then the second time we ran it, the kids would put their hand up and say, stop, every time the main character made a bad choice.
Right, okay. I like that idea.
A kid who put her hand up would then come up on stage with us and then improvise, become the main character and make the right choices on stage. So then it was a play and a workshop, and then after each scene we would talk. So then I would lead the discussion with the whole group, talking about the choices this person made and how that could impact positively rather than negatively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was super successful. I did that for about 14, 15 years. And it was basically just before COVID. The funding started drying up, and then COVID happened, obviously. So
Yeah.
I decided just to kind of focus on my comedy.
Right, okay.
So about 2019, really, I decided to focus on comedy. And I was getting better at comedy. I was getting more gigs, doing the stuff in the schools on stage with the plays, made my timing better, made my audience interaction better.
Aye, practice.
And I find that that's basically the style of comedy that I do. It's very interactive and it's very much crowd work. You kind of bounce off the audience, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you need to be quite sharp for that kind of stuff, don't you? And I know, obviously, I know you personally, so I know you're witty as anything. I know you're really sharp with that kind of stuff. So I suppose that helps when you're doing that kind of thing.
I think so. So I was talking about Viv's course. The first thing that Viv tells you on day one of that course is, I can't make you funny, I can make you funnier. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
like you
okay.
need to have something inside you. You know what I mean? To kind of get up
Aye.
on stage and be funny. It's the same way, like, if you play football or whatever, you can train all you want, but you won't ever get to a certain level if you've not got that natural God-given ability, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it is something, it's a personality trait, you know what I mean? Being funny, but then having the balls to then go up on stage in front of strangers and be funny is a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to the early days, was there any kind of early inspirations or people that you picked up or watched either on the TV or in person where you went, do you know what, I really, that person inspires me to kind of go and do this and go and create?
Well, growing up, mate, I was always a massive fan of Billy Connolly. And again, I guess that's a bit of a cliche for somebody from Glasgow to say that, but my wee granny brought me up. And my wee granny was very, very sharp tongue on her, and she would have parties in the house, and you'd hear her with our pals all having banter and the crackle and the laughter for the living room. And I'd kind of be sitting at the kind of living room door listening, and then she would put on Billy Connolly Crucifixion on the vinyl and all that.
Aye.
They'd hear the language and stuff, and then I'd be like, oh, they're all laughing at him saying the things. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, they're laughing at him swearing, they're laughing at him doing this, they're laughing at him doing that. So it kind of opened up my eyes early, but I was always a big fan of Connolly. Was obviously a massive inspiration. His stories, his storytelling, how he comes across, how it's not just straight comedy, he also mimes and he acts out scenarios and he does a funny walk.
Aye.
So there's a lot of physical stuff in there as well, you know what I mean? And it's a lot of stuff that's relevant, it's observational stuff and all that as well. But I also loved, like, I'd sometimes go and stay with my grandpa and he'd then put on like the two Ronnies, you know what I mean? And
Aye.
and the quality of the writing, and then it was things like like Abbott and Costello and Cannon and Ball, the kind of classic, kind of British, clean humour. And so the contrast between that and Connolly, you know what I mean? And I was like, wait, so you don't just need to swear, you can also do that and make people laugh. And then obviously the two Ronnies, like Ronnie Barker in particular, his writing was phenomenal, you know what I mean?
Aye.
And it was so clever, it was all wordplay. And then Monty Python, all that kind of stuff, and it's all wordplay, and it's all, it just shows you. I love Michael Palin, you know what I mean? I love all the Michael Palin travel shows. I followed all them after Monty Python. And then recently, modern sketch shows, like things like League of Gentlemen, you know what I mean?
Aye.
Things that's a wee bit absurd. I like a wee bit of absurdity in my humour, I'm not going to lie. Things that maybe a wee bit of dark absurdity. I kind of like that kind of vibe.
Kind of Larry Dean stuff.
Larry, I know Larry. Larry's a fantastic comic. Aye, he talks a lot about wee bit of darkness, wee bit of shade in there. I like Larry's good, mate. I like Larry. I would say my inspiration is probably slightly darker though. You know what I mean? But then when I go on stage, I do have a lot of lines that people kind of, especially when I started, almost kind of Frankie Boyle-esque a wee bit.
A bit risky.
Aye, but then you kind of, I think everyone who starts tries to be risky, but then eventually you find your own path and you find your voice. And I think my voice is storytelling, observation, and maybe cheeky rather than risky, if that makes sense.
Aye.
And a wee bit of banter and kind of prodding, poking the bear a wee bit, but no kind of overstepping any lines. And so, but one of the things that Viv tells you when you start as well is no isms in your comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Racism, sexism, sectarianism, or nothing like that. Because all you got to do is cut off a section of your audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I always try to keep it generic and always not generic, but I always try and keep it where nobody would be offended to the point where they would think as though it's a personal attack.
Yeah.
So because people should feel comfortable before they can laugh. You know what I mean?
Of course. If they're more relaxed, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to get the full belly buckles.
Aye.
Or even a snort. I think I was
brilliant.
watching Dan Connell this morning, and he made somebody snort, and I thought it was hilarious.
Aye. So that's the kind of that kind of comedy as well. These guys are starting to do now, where it's the kind of crowd work stuff where it's unscripted.
Yeah.
That's the kind of comedy that I like to do as well. I think the boy Paul Smith has been doing it for a while. Scouser boy, where he goes up, and even Matt Rife, the American boy.
Yeah.
It's all kind of very much crowd work stuff, and comedy's going in that direction. I think because the audience now want to feel part of it more.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way comedy's going. So, my inspiration definitely comes from places like what I've mentioned, kind of clever writing, a wee bit of darkness and all that, you know.
So you're obviously full-time professional comedian now, which is phenomenal. It's phenomenal for me to see. I've known you a long time, and obviously I'm buzzing that you're living the dream basically. You're doing what you want to do, and I suppose that the next question is kind of around: was there a big break? Or was it kind of a slow, grindy climb to get there?
Comedy's one of these things. I've not really had that kind of glass ceiling moment. You know what I mean? Where, but it's been. I mean, I've done bits on the telly. I've done bits on the radio. I was obviously in Scott Squad. I've done bits on like Off the Ball and all that. But I find as though it has been a kind of slow cooker process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's to the point where I just remember like a couple of years ago thinking, I kind of don't struggle anymore doing this on stage. You know what I mean? There's times where you go into gigs, you come off, you think, oh, that was hard. But touch wood, it's been so long since I've thought to myself that was hard. Because I'm at the stage now where I always feel as though I can make it work.
Yeah.
Depending, even irrelevant to what the audience is like, I can make them laugh. You know what I mean? So, going from being like a couple of weeks ago, I was supporting Gary Delaney. You heard of Gary Delaney?
No.
He does all the one-liners. English guy's brilliant.
Right, okay.
At the Eastwood Park Theatre, like 200 people, and I went on. I tried a wee bit of material. It was a bit dry, so I thought going into them. So then I found what their vibe was, and then I kind of had them laughing. To where I was doing a gig last weekend in Inverbervie. Away up next to Montrose, up that way.
Right.
And it was like 25 people in a Masonic Hall. And the other guy booked me. And that was a totally different experience, you know what I mean? So you have to adapt.
You play to the crowd.
And like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I probably might have struggled with that gig because I wouldn't have had the kind of the skill set that I've got now. I would have just stuck to my material. Somebody once said that to me, just got on, do your material and get off. You know what I mean?
Aye.
But now, I think that's probably the worst advice you can give anyone. Because I think you need to be able to kind of feel it and kind of roll with the punches.
And and build, as you say, build up those skills, and I suppose confidence with anything performing. It's about confidence in it.
100%, mate.
Right, okay. So we've kind of talked about how you started and how you became a comedian. Next part we're going to talk about the grind. Has there been any really tough moments for you?
Aye, there has been lots of tough moments. As I said, there was some places where you would go to, and no matter what you're doing, people just aren't buying into it. And that's how I said recently, I kind of used my skill set to kind of get myself out that kind of comedy cul-de-sac, I feel like. But in the past, man, there's been times when you're up there and you're kind of talking and you feel as though it's like an empty room, you know what I mean? And there's nobody there, you know, it's a busy room, and it's the worst feeling in the world. But I see comedy like football, you know what I mean? you don't learn for the games that you win in. You learn more for the ones that you don't.
Yeah.
And so whenever I do comedy, you either win or you learn. It's the same as football. I say that in my
I like that.
teams that I coach, my boys that play. I say you don't win and lose, you win and learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been the philosophy. That's always been the mindset that I've kind of taken doing comedy. If I come off, why did I know like that? Was it me? Was it how I delivered? Was it maybe, for example, the one came to mind there just when I was talking about it. I was kind of trolling my memory banks. It's been a while since I had a bad gig. So I did one for Jongleurs on the Road. You heard the Jongleurs?
I've heard the Jongleurs.
Big comedy chain.
I went to see, they call him Frankie Boyle there.
Aye. So I actually think they were into administration. I think they're dissolved now. I think Glee bought all their venues. So it was called Jongleurs on the Road, where we basically take it to all different cities in the UK. So I did Dundee for them up in is it the Caird Hall in Dundee, the big kind of uni hall. So there was about 200 people in there, and I was on with some really good names like Ruben Mearns. That was on. He was hosting. I was on first, and I always hated being on first. It's almost like that's like the dead zone spot. You know what I mean?
Set the tone.
Because you're on just after the compere. Usually the compere's on chatting and get the crowd up, and then you're on, and then they're still expecting that interaction, but they're just there to do 20 minutes of material. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So I'm on, and I'm pure pumped. I'm pumping myself up backstage, and I come on. The first thing I says was, "How the fuck are you, Dundee?" Silence. I thought that was the best entrance, and then guys are just sitting there like, just why are you swearing, mate? You know what I mean? So
I know the audience.
Aye, exactly. Know your audience, and it's like kind of like a lot older folk and quite well-to-do people. You know what I mean? And so I think they just looked at me. Who's this fucking Glaswegian coming on swearing at us before he's even? You know what I mean, before he's even said his name.
Aye.
So and then it was in 19 minutes. I kind of firefight and try to get him back on board, and I maybe got one or two laughs, but I come off and I was like, "What are you doing, man? Why did you go on and start swearing and saying how the fuck are you and everything else before you even opened your mouth?"
Starting to question everything.
Aye. So then in my head, it's like these people have paid to come out and see this. I mean, they don't want to be fucking swore at before you even said hello to them. You know what I mean? So in my head, it was almost like that's the process. You're a professional. You come on, you introduce yourself, and then you have a couple of wee appetizers. Then you get the main course. Then you have dessert. You know what I mean, that's kind of how I see comedy as well, where you kind of feed them with the light stuff. You test the room. You see what the vibe is. You then hit them with the good stuff, the A material. Then you finish off with stuff that's going to kind of cleanse their palate. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Aye. I like that.
So that since then, that's kind of the formula that I've kind of followed. But somebody said to me recently, I've never seen you do the same set twice, because I always mix up my material, or always try out new bits, or I'll do a bit of crowd work. So I never tend to do the same set twice, but it's almost like it's the same feeling, if that makes sense. So it's light, easy, heavy. Maybe no dark. Maybe no heavy is not the right word, but I mean heavy in terms of material.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we kind of leave them wanting more almost.
So
you know what I mean?
So the structure's the same.
The structure basically, aye. That's
Right,
the one.
okay.
Aye.
So I've seen a lot of comedians that do. What will happen is they'll go viral, right? They'll hit a clip and it'll go viral, and everybody, but oh my god, that's amazing. Matt Rife, obviously, and Paul Smith are big for those kind of things. When you see them, but it's the same set that they do quite a lot, because that's the one that's got them there, and they want obviously more people to see it. I think even Paul, when he came out on stage at the Hydro, was saying, Paul Smith, that is, when he came out at the Hydro, he says, people are expecting 2 hours of crowd work. He's like, it doesn't work like that.
No,
He's like, that's not how the show goes. We've got a show and we've got a story and etc. So, cool. There's obviously dark moments and there's really tough times when you're doing that gig. Has there been any moment where you've thought, do you know what, I'm going to quit, I don't know if I can do this? Have you had that moment?
In the whole 19-year almost that I've been doing it, there's maybe been once or twice. But I think that also attributed to stuff that was happening in my personal life as well. You know what I mean?
Course, yeah.
Where the last thing you want to do is go up on stage and make other people laugh. You know what I mean? That's so. I think a lot of things like that are kind of intellect. For comedians that I speak to, a lot of kind of mental health does come from comedy as well. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what's that old saying? It's like, I think it was a famous Robin Williams quote where, whenever you feel dark inside, or the people who want to make others laugh are the ones who've got the kind of that kind of one, the most darkness inside them, that kind of thing. So there's been once or twice where I've been kind of doing it, and I've come off and I've been driving back from Aberdeen, and it's fucking heavy snow, and it's like 2 a.m, you know what I mean? And you've just died in your arse for 50 quid, and you've, you know what I mean? And then you've just missed the there's a wee service station just as you pass through Dundee who past midnight they put their donuts on half price. I used to always try and time it. Used to always try and time it. Stephen Marks and Spencer's garage just as you leave. It's a BP just outside Dundee as you come back.
Aye.
So after 12 o'clock on a Saturday night they put their donuts down to half price. So I got into that. And there was fucking none left. I was like, I'm quitting, man. I'm done.
That was the moment. That was the moment. I'm chucking it.
That was the final straw. I was like, what? I was like, there's no fucking jam donuts. I'm dying my arse. It's snowing.
Has there been any kind of real lessons learned or moments that's kind of stood out for you and went, that was a real moment there? I've kind of picked something up that would be really useful.
I think every gig I do, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like a cliche, but I think every gig I learn something new about myself, about this game, because it is a ever-changing picture, comedy, because comedy does really reflect what's happening in society, you know what I mean? Like when I first started, I've seen so many comics who have came and went, you know what I mean? So many people who have rose to the top because they've kind of captured the kind of the zeitgeist of the time or whatever, the feeling of the time, and they've got something. You want to talk about, you got to get Gary on, Gary Falls, Gary Meikle, guys that really were on board when it came to like all the social stuff. They kind of were the first ones to really kind of promote themselves. But there's been times definitely, mate, where I've kind of thought to myself, I should be doing bigger gigs. I should be doing more high profile gigs. Why am I not? You know what I mean? So, and that's why I'm kind of doing more stuff like this. I'm doing more kind of social stuff, whereas in the past I would kind of see that as a humble brag a wee bit.
Right, okay.
And I think coming from kind of working class kind of scheme background, you're always told stay in your lane. You know what I mean, and don't rise your head above, and don't get out your station. These are things that I was always taught growing up. You know what I mean, not just by family but by friends.
Yeah.
Never think you're Billy Big Bollocks or that kind of stuff. But I think that's changing now, and people are making it big because they are actually kind of pushing themselves out there, and it is all about, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and come and see me here. But in the past, I would have been a wee bit embarrassed to do that, I'm not going to lie. So I'm learning now that if I don't sell myself, who's going to?
Of course,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think in this day and age, especially the social media era, you need to promote yourself. I think it's a West of Scotland thing where you don't get yourself a pat in the back, you don't say well done, all that kind of thing. I even find it myself when I'm doing some stuff. So I had a few targets this year for the YouTube channel. One of those was to hit 1 million views, and I hit 1 million views.
Amazing. And
I was boasting about it, and part of that felt strange. We're like, why are you shouting about it? But why not? Why not shout about it? It's a target, and you've achieved it. You've got there. So.
Because that's the working class in us, mate. Getting kind of pulled back down, and it's almost like a societal kind of social political thing where we've always been programmed not to kind of like the kind of ruling classes that always want us kind of kept in a box. And I think that's how we are taught. That's how we're learned. That's through things like the telly, films, the news. I mean, it's almost like we're always told to kind of stay working class. You know what I mean? But that's why whenever I do a gig now, you ever notice on my socials, I always jokingly say this is my personal favourite gig. Every gig that I go and do. So if I'm gigging, like for example, in the Masonic, I'm like my personal favourite gig. If I'm doing a theatre gig, this is my personal favourite gig. And it's almost like a wee kind of tongue in cheek kind of. People who are always saying, "Oh, I'm so looking forward to doing this gig," and kind of a wee bit of bootlicking, you know what I mean? So it's almost like a wee dig at that, you know what I mean?
Of course.
In a playful way, But I think the whole kind of humble brag thing is when a full 180, where if you're no humble bragging about what you're doing, then you're doing it wrong.
You're not promoting yourself. You're not getting yourself out there. You're not interacting with other groups of people. And as you say, the more people you interact with, the more people will see your content and see who you are and find out who you are.
Exactly, mate. Because again, we've got a free tool here to do it now. Whereas in the past, you need to go and pay for maybe paper adverts or big posters or whatever. Whereas now, the stuff that you guys that you're doing is the way forward.
Absolutely.
And I was a wee bit late to the curve, but I'm kind of trying to catch up now.
Getting there. It will absolutely happen. Okay. How do you stay motivated? Because I know. For me's content creation, right? So content creation, I'm making videos. I have times where I really struggle, and it's not a creative block, because they talk about having a creative block. It's not a creative block. It's just it's draining sometimes because I work a full-time job and I'm content creating at the side, and I'm very, very busy. And sometimes if the videos aren't doing well, then I struggle with that. So how do you keep yourself motivated?
Again, I think it's something inside you. I think it's something inside you because I'm so passionate about it. Again, like you, there's mornings I wake up and I'll set myself targets. You know what I mean? I'll say I'm going to try and write in 5 minutes a day. You know what I mean? A material, and I'll maybe come up with 2 minutes. So, but I find that when I force myself to write, nothing comes. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So I'll then take myself away. I'll go or listen to some music. I'll go into Starbucks. I'll sit and have a coffee. I'll just kind of watch the world go by, and then that's when stuff will start to happen to me. You know what I mean? So I think my motivation comes from the passion, what I've got for doing comedy and performing. You know what I mean? And it's almost like that motivation is now where I'm starting to learn. As I said, I do need to push myself, as we just spoke about. And I'm the only person that can do this, but I'm the only person that can make me better as well. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And it's not just for comedy; it's for life. It's for everything. That's my kind of mantra nowadays. Is like, if you want to be better, better yourself. You know what I mean?
Aye, absolutely.
So in terms of the motivational stuff, I think it's not 100%. I would say I'm maybe running about 70% in terms of how motivated I am on a daily basis. But my brain works weird where it'll kind of, it's like I'll open kind of one wee gate and then all of a sudden I'll get a big gush. But if I open the gates fully, I'll get trinkles.
Yeah, I
You
get
know
that.
what I mean?
I get that.
So I try and do it organically. You know what I mean? I try and push myself organically to write. Because if I do it, if I'm push myself like kind of unnaturally, nothing will happen. So, and it's the same with motivation. There's days where I wake up, I can't be bored, but then I get a wee spark and then bang, I'm on. Or there's days when I wake up, I'm buzzing, like, I'm going to do this today, nothing will come. I'm like, what's the point? So I tend to just kind of let it happen naturally and just see what comes.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a schedule for my stuff, so I tend to schedule it. And I'll. It's weird because when you're putting out videos and stuff, people always say, put out everything, because some stuff, like you say, you'll learn from the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from the mistakes in making videos, and some have done really badly. I've done half average ones that I thought were one of the best videos, and they've done really well. And I've done another video that I thought, I've spent so much time on this has got to be phenomenal, and it's just dived. It's absolutely dived. That's the part where it's probably a struggle with, where I've put a lot of effort into something and it's not done so well. But as you say, it's learning from it and then saying, how can I make this better? How can I move on and try and do a bit more?
And at the end of the day, it could be lots of things. The reason why something's not worked for you as well. So it might not just be the content that you're putting out. It could be the algorithm at that time. It could be something else that's happening that's more popular. You know what I mean? So that's what I found in comedy as well. It's like I was talking about that Dundee gig after I died in my hoop. I learned not to take it personal. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And so I did look at stuff I did and how I could better myself. But then I thought to myself, well, maybe I just wasn't the comedian for them. You know what I mean? Tonight, but then another night, I might, like, for example, I went on to do my next gig and smashed it. So I'm the right comedian for here. But that's the thing now that I've learned. It's like you need to be the right comedian for every gig if you want to get to the top. You know what I mean? So that's why I've adapted and changed to kind of go back to that original point. And so in terms of the motivation, that's part of the motivation for me as well, where I need to be the right comedian for every gig.
So obviously we've talked about your journey. So what has been the biggest highlight so far for you?
Probably this summer, actually. I think it was June, middle of June. A friend contacted me and asked me, he organises a big kind of comedy festival, a big 2-day comedy festival over in Queen's Park called Laugh in the Park.
Right, okay.
So it's in the big bandstand in the middle of Queen's Park.
Aye.
So it was about 900 people there. And I played that during the summer there. And from like my first line, so I tried it I've been trying it a kind of new start. So I was talking about it's an ever changing landscape and all that.
Yeah.
So I've been trying out a new bit about my son and stuff at the start. And so I do this line about my son, how he started playing darts and he was top 20 in Scotland. And so now darts players have got their darts names in the back of their shirt. So he's playing the Scottish Junior Open. There's a wee guy, and his name was John Magnet. On the back of his shirt was his darts nickname. It was John the Fanny Magnet. So I was like, wee guy's 12 hitting 180s, pulling 10s. So that just kind of got everyone up right away. So then I thought I could relax because it was a new bit at the start, went really well. So I thought I can relax. I'm in this here, and then there was a guy going by, an older guy with a mad shirt that looked like something, a kind of African tribe shirt. So I was like, I didn't get to him. I was like, what are you doing coming to a gig in Queen's Park with an African shirt and all that? And then the place was killing herself. I was like, it's like a Timu Miami Vice, so I just kind of parted with him.
Right, okay.
And then everything I said for then was just absolutely crackling, man. And I'd done like 10 minutes, but it felt like 10 seconds. You know that way?
Aye.
Because it's a festival, so everyone's just doing 10 minutes. And then I come off, and I was like that, buzzing. And then afterwards, I like my Insta was like ping, 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 like kind of friend requests and all that for
Right,
it.
okay, wow. That quick, aye.
Aye, honestly. And then I come off, and I was like, wow, people were saying to me, you absolutely smash other comedians and all that. And that's when you can tell when other comedians, you know what I mean, experienced guys as well. And then I thought, wow, man. And then I realised I should be doing this on a bigger stage all the time. You know what I mean?
Was that the kind of I can't believe this moment then?
No,
or have you had a separate moment where you're like, I can't believe I'm in this position, this has happened to me?
I think it happens to me every time I go on stage, mate.
Right,
Every time I go on stage, I think I can't believe I'm doing this for a job. You know what I mean, because I'm in such a privileged position. But it's not been easy to get to there, as we spoke about earlier. It's not been easy. It's been like Monday nights up in Aberdeen, and Tuesday nights in Manchester, and Thursday nights in London. You know what I mean? Driving all night and causing issues with ex-partners and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's been that grind, mate, to get where I'm at. So that's been every time when I come on stage now, I feel privileged. I feel as though I've done the hard yards, and I feel as though I'm deserved of it now. I'm deserved. I'm deserved of the success and the hard work, because I've got like see the notes section in your phone.
Yeah.
So that's just like ideas, and it's like scroll. It could be like, you know what I mean? It's probably like 2 hours worth of material in there.
Right. Okay.
Aye. So I'm going to do a show in March, a Glasgow Comedy Festival show in March, and I'm going to just basically half crowd work, half my new material.
Excellent.
A brand new show.
Excellent. It's funny you should mention notes, because I use notes all the time for one, scripting this. I actually scripted this on notes, and I put down ideas, because for me ideas come at the worst times. I'm lying in bed at night and I'm about to fall asleep and I have an idea about something, so 100%. I'll write a quick note down, and I'll say, right, okay, I'll work on that tomorrow. I'll get it done.
I get some horrible ideas, and you're just about to fall asleep. You think, ha ha ha. You laugh yourself to sleep. You wake up in the morning, and so I'll make a note of it. I'll wake up in the morning, look at that, and I think, what was I thinking? I mean, the one recently, I got a line recently, and it's one of the ones I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I might use it, but I don't know. And I'm going to say, it was a line that just came to me, and it was, this place is so rough. I'm doing a gig, I'll say, this place is so rough, it's even got a glory hole in the disabled toilet. I thought, there's something in that.
that one's for dumb chapel.
I thought, there's maybe something in there that I could do. I could probably work with that somehow, you know what I mean? And then just do a mime with a guy in an electric wheelchair, kind of going back and forward, like glory hole. I think that's what I might use that on.
Next part, I suppose, is has there been somebody you've met, or has there been somebody you've worked with where you think, wow, that's amazing, I can't believe I'm in this position?
Again, without sounding cheesy, I'm always in awe of people who are at the top of their game. You know what I mean? To name drop, you know Daniel Sloss?
Yeah.
Daniel. So when Daniel was first starting, I was kind of going for a couple of years. So I was on at the stand one night in Edinburgh, and Daniel's dad, I think, used to do a lot of writing and stuff, and his mum managed him and stuff when he first started. So they approached me when I first started and asked me to support Daniel with Kevin Bridges. So it was me and Kevin and Daniel for Daniel's first hour he did in Edinburgh. So what happened was I opened up, did 20. Daniel then done half an hour, a break. Kevin did 20, and then Daniel did his second half an hour. So it was kind of mixed up, so he could get time to see how it flows and stuff. And but I remember then, even then, kind of watching Daniel for a young age, thinking he's got something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously working with Kevin as well. You know what I mean? Kevin could touch anything, it turns to comedy gold. You know what I mean? So
he's got away with it.
So these guys, to kind of be sharing a bill with these guys kind of so early, to be asked to support so early on, it kind of helped me see the standard as well that I need to get to. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Because Kevin, it was actually the night just before Kevin got his show went out on McIntyre's Roadshow at the time on BBC, and it basically went stratospheric after that. And he was telling me that actually came about because another comedian, Craig Hill, got asked to go on that, and he couldn't make it, so Kevin got asked to go on that at the last minute.
Wow.
And that's basically then changed his life, didn't it?
Aye, absolutely has.
So you're talking about kind of sliding doors moments and being at the right time, the right place and all that. Kind of something similar happened to me when I was younger as well, where I auditioned, when I was acting, I auditioned for the Peter Millen movie, My Name is Joe. Remember that? My Name is Joe.
I remember that.
And I went in with my friend Carmen Pieracini. She's a fantastic actress, and we were in. It was Ken Loach, the director, and he basically gave us a scene. He was like, okay, Rob, you like her, she likes you. You go to her house, you don't know what's happening in her house. You have to try and talk her out of going to her house. Scene, and then we did this scene for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And afterwards, Carmen was like, "Oh, you'll get something. You absolutely smashed that." So as mentioned, my wee granny brought me up. At the time, it was only landlines. You know what I mean? Remember? There was no mobile. It was only landlines. My wee granny hadn't paid the bill that month, and the landline get cut off. So I will never know if I got that part, and my name is Joe.
Wow.
Because there was no way of contacting us back then.
That's unbelievable.
I know, mate. I know. So you're talking about the sliding doors and opportunities, and that kind of goes back to that working class thing. Because automatically I thought I probably wouldn't have got it anyway.
Aye.
But who knows?
You don't?
Aye.
Oh, God,
I know.
that would kill me. That would kill me. You know, I actually met Ken Loach.
Aye.
I went for
Lovely
an audition.
guy.
I went for an audition for what was that one? Angel Share.
Angel Share.
So I went for an audition for that.
Right.
And the night before, you couldn't make this up.
Mm-hmm.
So the night before, I was up my mate of mine's and we're carrying on. We're talking about UFC. And we end up rolling a boot.
Right.
Carrying on. They gave me a black eye, right?
No.
So I was like, I can't go to this audition. I've got a black eye. So it was up at Drumchapel Community Centre, and
Right.
we had Ken Loach and we had his casting director there, and we were sitting in, and I tried to do my best and told him was available, and I've never done acting before. I just fancied it, getting a bash. And cut a long story short, I never got asked to get back, but I walked out, and I seen a mate of mine's, Rob Macklin, who you know well,
Rob,
right, funny guy. And I was talking to Rob, and he was kind of like, "How'd it go?" And I says, "Do you know?" I said, "I kind of missed the opportunity there." And he went, "How?" I says, "Well, he asked me if I've got any acting experience." And I said, "No." I was like, I wanted to say something else, but I was too scared to say it. And he's like, "What were you going to say?" And I was going to say, "Well, my mom's been telling me my whole life growing up, stop acting a cunt." I says, and I thought it would have been funny, but I shut out it and I never said it. I never said it, so I missed the opportunity.
So I've got another sliding doors moment at all. It was the first show I did during the Glasgow Comedy Festival, maybe about 2009, 2010 roughly. And it was with me, a guy called Davey C, who doesn't go anymore, but Ian Stirling, know who Ian Stirling is, who does the voiceover for Love Island.
Yep.
So me, him, and Davey did this freehander. But Davey, Ian was so nervous because a few casting directors were coming to our show, and one of them was actually Peter Mullen. Peter Mullen was casting for the show Ned's at the time. So he was really nervous, right? So we ended up going to O'Neill's in Merchant Square. And the show was up in McFab's. It's called Gale and Grain now. It's been a few names anyway. So it was in there downstairs. So Ian gets steaming. So Ian was on first. Guy Davey was in the middle, and I was on the end of this. It was 3 guys doing 20 minutes each, right? And so Peter Mullen was in the audience, and Ian was on first. And Ian sat all afternoon, get absolutely steaming. And he did this bit about a caravan, right? And he kept on repeating the line. He kept on going, "Have I told you about the time I was in a caravan?" And he kept on, "Have I told you about the time I was in a caravan?" There was another comedian there, Mark Nelson. You heard of Mark Nelson?
No.
And Mark actually stood up and went, "Go and sit down with me, man." basically did a set to get the audience back on. And then at the break, Peter Mullen fucked off, so he didn't get to see me. Because I think he maybe thought, is this what I'm coming to see?
Aye.
So Mullen fucked off during the break, and he was casting for Ned's at the time. I found out, so I thought, if I got up there, I mean, my persona, even might have liked my persona, kind of working class Glaswegian boy, you know what I mean? And it might have gave me something in that movie. That's what I was thinking.
That's good.
But life is full of moments like that, isn't
it? Has life changed for you, being a comedian?
Aye. It gives me a lot more free time. It gives me a lot more time to spend with my son. It gives me a lot more time to do things like this. And it lets me be my own boss and call my own shots, you know what I mean? And not have to go, and if somebody says there's a gig or you want to do this, I can say no as well.
Aye.
You know what I mean? But if you're working,
freedom,
but if you're working for somebody, you don't get a choice. You need to go and do it. You know what I mean? Otherwise you get a sack or you could lose your job or whatever. But I mean, I'm self-employed. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. The Christmas nights out's only the best. You know what I mean?
Like, the boss doesn't put much behind the bar.
I get done for sexually harassing the boss last night. But so there's no a lot of but obviously you've got that freedom, but there's not a lot of benefits in terms of healthcare, and when you're self-employed, I mean, it's all in terms of you are what you earn, essentially. You know what I mean? So there's benefits. My life has changed for the better. Made me realise it's changed that kind of safety nets away as well. You know what I mean? So again, but that's part of the thrill of it, mate, I guess.
Of course. So what does I'm asking you this probably in your day off, but what does a normal day off look like for you now, man?
A day off?
Yeah.
I'll try and do a bit of writing. Even though I'm off, I'll still try and kind of do a wee bit. I'll do stuff with my son, or I'll go and play tennis, or go to the gym. I'll do something to kind of keep my body healthy as well. Because I think it's too easy just to kind of lie about doing nothing when you're off. And I find that I'm more productive and more creative when I'm feeling good about myself as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in order to feel good about myself, I'll go and meet people, or I'll even go and sit by myself and have a coffee in Starbucks or Costa or whatever, and just watch the world go by, and maybe get a wee bit of inspiration. You know what I mean? So so a day off, typically I got up 9 times out of 10. I've got my son. I'll spend a few at school. If not, I'll do stuff with him. I'll try and keep myself active, mate, because I think that's important as well.
Aye.
Healthy body, healthy mind, all that.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So what's Rob? What's next for you? What's the next big thing, or what's the next best thing? What's coming?
So ironically, it's come up to Christmas, which is a terrible time for comedians, because most Christmas gigs, I call them the bell bottom blue jeans and brown shoe gigs, because this is when all the guys come out with their big jeans and their brown shoes. The once a year night out, they're allowed to get out. So they come out, they drink too much, they make an ass of themselves, they heckle, they try and be funny. You know what I mean? A lot of office party crew and all that come out to gigs. So I don't like Christmas as a comic, but I'm kind of working now towards next March, where I'm going to be doing a solo show as part of the Glasgow Comedy Festival. Title yet to be decided, so if anybody's got any suggestions, but it's got to be a kind of work in progress show where I was mentioning I've got a big massive kind of note file of material. I'm going to try and pick bits out of that and find the best bits, maybe half an hour of that and then half an hour of crowd work, and kind of make it a kind of hybrid show. So that's what I'm going to work towards, mate. In my diary, I'm pretty busy. I've got a lot of kind of sportsman's dinners. I do sportsman's dinner stuff as well. Doing one with Tam Cowan, Gordon Smith, Kevin Thompson. I've got ones like that coming up with these guys. So that's in the short term. Long term, next March, I'll probably start in the next couple of weeks working towards kind of how I'm going to structure the show.
Right, okay.
The Comedy Festival in March. I've already got the venue. It's in the Griffin Bar up the town.
Right, okay.
So it's got to be the Griffin. Time and date to be decided, but that's what I'm working towards.
Excellent. And where do you see yourself in a year or two from here, in an ideal situation, everything going well?
Ideally, I'd like to be doing more, almost like a some sort of a tour, where I'm going to venues, maybe I don't know, between 80 to 100 seater venues. I'm maybe selling 75% of their tickets. And then kind of building up to kind of doing bigger spaces. Yeah. Maybe within the next 3 to 5 years. Okay. So I think we're using social media and kind of getting on board and kind of using multimedia stuff. So I've started the weekend of podcast, one of the gigs I'm doing. I want to try and build it up, doing stuff like this, get myself out there. Ideally, I would like to kind of be doing a tour of some sort.
Right, okay.
Within 3 to 5, kind of maybe 200 seaters within the next year or so, maybe 70 to 80, 100 venues. And that 70 to 80 seater venues, and that's not that doesn't need to be theatre. It could be pubs and clubs. You know what I mean? So
of course.
Aye. But then maybe within 3 to 5 years, maybe kind of theatre venues.
Right, okay. And you talked about social media, doing a bit more on there and doing some podcasts and stuff. So what's in the pipeline? Have you got some stuff working on in the background that you're going to come out with then? You talk about the podcast? There's
a couple of things I say. I've started doing a kind of monthly podcast now. I do a monthly gig in the Clyde Bar in Helensburgh. The guy who runs that is quite keen on having a podcast. So we do a monthly show. So the way I'm doing it is whoever's on the next show, I'm pulling them in as a guest. Okay. And we're just kind of sitting, kind of shooting the shit with them, you know what I mean? So I hope to kind of get a bit of traction on that eventually. I've brought in some new guys recently who are kind of going to be editing it for me and putting out a few 15 to 20-second shorts as well. Okay. So you know yourself, that's what people watch like on the socials. Is I think there was some sort of kind of stat that people any longer than 15 seconds start scrolling. You know what I mean? So, but that's a goal, mate. That's a goal.
Excellent. And the big dream. The big dream. What's the big dream?
Big dream. Oft. You know what? I'm going to sound really corny, but to be happy and to be comfortable. and knowing that I'm doing gigs every weekend at a decent level where people are coming out to see me specifically. You know what I mean? I'm not part of a multi-act show. It's Rob Kane. I mean, I've built up this audience, I've built up a following, and I can just kind of walk in and do whatever I want for an hour and a half or whatever. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That would be the dream, the big dream.
So kind of coming to the wrap up and the kind of finalising parts of the podcast. If you get one kind of single piece of advice that you would give to anybody, an up and coming comic, somebody that's kind of want to do it and is a wee bit scared to do it, any good pieces of advice?
Again, obvious, but do it. Find your own voice. Don't try and copy anyone. Don't plagiarise any material. Just do you. Tell your story, and because everyone's got a story, and everyone's life's different. You know what I mean? So somebody's voice and comedy will be unique. It's about how you harness, channel that, put it out there. But if you don't do it, you'll never know.
So Rob, now's your time for the plug. Where can people find you? What socials are you on, and where can they come and see you?
So in terms of finding me, I put everything through my socials anyway. So you'll find me on TikTok and Insta on Rob Kane Comedian. And as I said, I'm going to start putting out some pods and some short stuff on that. Maybe some more kind of funny sketchy stuff, as in talk to camera stuff. I might start to put out as well, just to kind of get those algorithms up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And come March, I mentioned that I'm going to try and get all that nailed down. But it's going to be in a Griffin Bar as part of the Glasgow Comedy Festival come March. Title yet to be decided. Again, you can win two tickets if you come up with a good title. And
there you go.
And it'll be a brand new show, and half and half crowd work and half material.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate your time, mate. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you and have a bit of fun. Thank you to everybody for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. So the car might be parked, but the journey continues. Check us out. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Cheers.